The surge of illegal immigrants has reached new daily records. These numbers are unbelievable. And like, if you don't live in these towns, you're probably sitting there going, it's like when someone doesn't live in a hurricane path and they're like, wow, and they're flipping on the Weather Channel. They're like, wow, look at that. That looks bad. For the people that are living in these communities, it's absolutely terrifying. And by the way, it's not just going to stay in those communities anymore. It's absolutely traveling all over Europe and all over the United States. So first, let's talk about Europe. Then we'll talk about the U.S. overnight. So how did it get this bad, you might be asking? That's what a lot of Europeans and Americans are asking themselves as they stare down the hundreds of illegal immigrants pouring across their borders. The corporate media is largely silent on this issue, totally silent, actually. So to understand some context here, let's rewind the clock a little bit, back to March of 2023. So just a short time ago, mayors and interior ministers in cities all across Europe warned that their cities were going to collapse if illegal immigrants continued to flood their streets. It was an invasion, they said. This was, here you can read this article here, Europe looks to beef up border security as illegal migration surges. Did that happen? The latest, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. In fact, as the article points out, the latest surge in illegal migration has prompted interior ministers across Europe to vow to finally hammer out a unified policy on migration, which has long been Europe's Achilles heel. So what happened? Well, the answer is virtually nothing happened. The EU made it worse by, in fact, speeding up the asylum-seeking time frame to 12 weeks. So you come across the border illegally, claim asylum for whatever reason you want, then Europe will take 12 weeks to approve or deny your request. They also made it so that European countries wouldn't be able to detain these people except in rare circumstances. Makes a lot of sense, right? How exactly is that working out for them? If it's not, in fact, because the message is basically just come on in. Just we're wide open, just come on in, because it's such a broad set of standards that anyone can get refuge. Anyone can seek asylum, and it doesn't matter how you claim it. So they use vague rules about the asylum, and we can detain you. And by the way, we can't detain you, so you go just have some fun in our country. Under these detention rules, we can't detain you at all. You're here for 12 weeks, so here's some money. You have to be put up in nice hotels, and go take care. Go do what you're going to do. We'll probably never see you again. Welcome to Germany. How's that working out for Germany, by the way? How's it working out for Switzerland? It's not. Just look at Germany's economy. Look at how Germany is dealing with crime, rash of crime. Look at the rapes that are taking place across France. Headlines this morning in France about the number of elderly women being attacked and raped in France, thanks to illegal immigrants. Great. In 2022, Europe saw over 330,000 illegal immigrants arrive by boat and train. And in the spring of that year, already an 82% increase over last year. And they've done nothing to stop it. And now, today, we have this. Take a look at this. So this is Al Jazeera reporting that upwards of 500,000 people have gathered in northern Africa ready to invade Europe, essentially. Maybe nothing will happen. Maybe all of these people that are, filing in by the giant semi-truck flatbeds are just going to hang out. Maybe they're all together to go to a Taylor Swift concert.
This is from Al Jazeera.
Mm-hmm. So in Spain last night, and by the way, we should also point out about this in Spain. In Spain last night, boats arriving on shore carrying illegals. Looks like soldiers landing on the beaches of Normandy when you see these images. Look at that. These are the first thoughts, too. That like, this is D-Day. It's like those Higgins boats that soldiers used on the beaches of Omaha Beach and so forth to attack Nazi positions.
Point out, like, where do you... I don't see any women or children yet. Like, why is it all men all of a sudden? Like, what is going on? Yeah, military-age men. I've heard from multiple sources today, overwhelmingly, the train fulls, the cargo holds full, are military-age men. And I saw someone on Twitter, not interacting with me or anything like that, but just said, like, when did we start? Look, the boats are pulling back, and then they go and they load up more, and they're bringing them right back. So when did someone on Twitter said, well, when did we start using the insensitive term military-aged men? How about we just call them men? Okay. So
Why don't we just do it? Why don't we make you feel better with the terminology? They're military-aged men.
Yeah, because when you say men, you would see men getting off the boat that needed help because they're old, or children like 7 to 12 getting off. But these are fit military-aged men, and that means something. There's a reason people are calling it that.
Yes, but that's always been an immigrant pattern, is that, a working family would send the man to go and sort of figure out where they're going to live. Is there a job there? That's what the Chinese did largely when they came over to work. The men came, right? The women did not. Immigrants from Western Europe who came to the United States, the man would go first, make sure there was a job and a home, and then send for the family. So that's another, is that a prospect that these men would send back for their families? It's a valid question because there's so little known about these massive people.
And I apologize. Already, YouTube tonight has already limited our show, and I can see here that they've yellow flagged our show and already blocked it. So anyway, if you're not seeing this, that could be why. So please smash the like button. It pushes it further out into the algorithm, but it's kind of amazing. Like, we just started the show. We haven't even done anything yet. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Anyway, so yeah, that was Spain last night. And then countries like Sweden and Germany have seen soaring sexual assault cases, with many perpetrators being immigrants who arrive illegally. This is well documented. Yet the mainstream media continues to downplay these issues and label anyone who dares speak out about this as a bigot. It's not bigotry to care about the safety and security of your own citizens. It's not bigotry to demand that your government, by the way, enforce its own laws that are on the books. Or you can have Obama come in and change them and label everyone dreamers, so you can sort of go around the laws and, we don't have laws on the books anymore. No, they're just labeled dreamers.
And no one's saying we want bad for those people. We're saying that must be scary to land on a beach and not know where you're going and not have anything to eat or anywhere to stay, right? And so that's not good for anybody. It's not good for the people who have migrated legally or who live there. And it's not good for those people who have to sit around on the sidewalk waiting for someone to give them something. It's not good for anybody. This is like a virtuous circle of terrible.
And they've also, by the way, created a system that rewards this kind of behavior, who break the law, and punishes those who just break it and don't follow it. That's really ridiculous. I mean, sorry, they punish those who do follow the law and have to wait in line, basically, right? Basically skip the line and we will reward you and give you government benefits and take care of you. Go through the proper channels and you're screwed. They created a broad definition of asylum and fleeing political prosecution. You fleeing persecution? Use that word on your sign-up form and you're good to go. So that anyone coming in can claim asylum.
So easy for Syrians escaping the war or Libyans. They wait in long lines and are often rejected in Western countries. So when did that become a thing? It certainly wasn't a thing when we were busy destroying Middle Eastern countries and then not letting them in. So if we've changed that, it would be nice for us all to know.
Well, today, UK's Home Secretary admitted that multiculturalism has failed and Europe is facing an existential crisis because of illegal immigration. Watch.
Uncontrolled immigration, inadequate integration, and a misguided dogma of multiculturalism have proven a toxic combination for Europe over the last few decades. I'm not the first to point this out. In 2010, Angela Merkel gave a speech in which she acknowledged that multiculturalism had utterly failed. And then French President Nicolas Sarkozy and British Prime Minister David Cameron echoed similar sentiments shortly thereafter. Multiculturalism makes no demands of the incomer to integrate. It has failed because it allowed people to come to our society and live parallel lives in it. They could be in the society, but not of the society. And in extreme cases, they could pursue lives aimed at undermining the stability and threatening the security of our society.
I love Burn in Hell Biden, great screen name, by the way, on our Rumble chat, says, wow, no shit. But for some people, this is like a revelation. You needed to go through all of this disastrous influx of illegal immigrants the total collapse of your society, violence, elderly women being raped in France, because that's happening, to finally wake up and realize this. Now, some might say, well, she, of course, is the parents of illegal immigrants from India who came to the UK, right? And upwardly mobile. She's there. She's the Home Secretary.
Of legal immigrants, or she's
legal. So this is the difference, right? This is when someone wants to throw that around, that, well, it's easy for her to say that is she admitting that it's a failure? She's the product of it. Well, is she, though? Because her parents went through normal
if
channels.
She's Indian, then also her culture was pillaged by the United Kingdom. And so they were given this, sort of
pathway,
corridor of immigration.
Hey, we destroyed your country. We pillaged it. We
made you
it.
fan us at night when it was really hot, when we had British soldiers, taking all of your resources. So we owe you a little thing called passport.
That's true, by the way. Yeah, yes. we were forced to fan British soldiers in India while you were occupying us.
Throughout the night. Yeah. That was a job.
All night.
Slavery.
So she then called separately, the Home Secretary did, for rewriting of a treaty which has influenced global asylum policy for the last 7 decades. Good for her. Wow. Really? She did that today? This would be the biggest change to refugee laws in 70 years. Huge news from the UK. Let's see if anyone listens and actually does that. But it's this overly broad definition, of course, that Nigel Farage and others have been slamming. Just any definition you want. Come on in. Take our government resources. Rape our women. That's how it works. So to America now, I think it's going to get any better there, where we now have our August numbers that just have arrived. Close to 300,000 illegal immigrants poured across the borders into America in August. To put that in perspective, 300,000 was the number I just told you about that came to Europe throughout the entire year of 2022. So in 1 month, America, 300,000 illegal immigrants that came. That's what we know about, by the way. How many more we don't, that weren't even cataloged properly, that came across? I bet it's even much higher than that. And last night at Eagle Pass, Texas, a disaster, crisis emerging. The mayor declaring a state of emergency there because of these razor wire. This razor wire has been set up to block the flow of illegals that was cut by border agents to let people through. Yes, under Biden's direction, under the Customs and Border Protection. Texas DPS barbed wire barrier that was keeping the hordes of illegals out was cut wide open to allow them to flow right through. Here's how it played out last night live on television. Watch this.
In Eagle Pass, Texas, where just moments ago, Customs and Border Protection cut a hole through the concertina wire that has been stretched by Texas DPS along the border there to allow migrants to come through. It was initially a group of about 60 to 70 people. It swelled to some 300 very, very quickly. Some women and children who were sort of in the middle of the river were picked up by, I guess it would be Texas DPS, because they're running the airboats there up and down the river, and taken out of the water and to safer ground there. But as you can see, as we have watched for the last couple of weeks, the illegal migration across the river into the United States continues with this border crossing in Eagle Pass, seeing thousands of people. And then over the weekend, we set what we believe is a new record of 11,000 people crossing into the United States in a single day. We'll keep an eye on this for you. In the meantime.
Yeah, we will. We'll keep an eye on it. 11,000 per day.
I mean, I can kind of understand like them not wanting to just let them sit there and die. They've got no food, they've got no water, so they would just be stuck there. But they should be working with Mexico, and Mexico should be taking some of this on because it's in their country or other places that it's happening.
No.
Like, nobody else is taking it on but us.
No. Mexico is helping, and it's all being funded by the United States. So, no, there's not going to be any stopping of it. The whole plan is working. The plan is working. Bus them in luxury buses up through Panama from the Darien Gap. We've showed it to you. We've showed it to you ad nauseum. Back-to-back buses on a regular rotation, driving them straight up right to and Mexico, then with police escorts driving them right to the border. So this is all part of the plan. Earlier today, I spoke with David Cannon. David is a business owner in Eagle Pass. His business has been ravaged by a wave of illegal immigration. And now, of course, of Governor Abbott trying to pretend to really clamp down on illegal border crossings, has been stopping all of these semi-trucks that are part of legitimate businesses, and they're searching them now, finally. But nevertheless, what they're doing is creating this enormous bottleneck. And then illegal immigrants all through Eagle Pass, just wandering the streets, ravaging businesses. David also flies a helicopter, and he's been taking out members of Congress to show them what's happening in Eagle Pass in that area, because these members of Congress aren't even getting access to information from the Biden administration. So he's very involved in what's happening in Eagle Pass. And he took a few moments today while he was in Austin to tell me what was going on with the illegal immigrants pouring in over the past 24 to 48 hours. Here is David. David, what is it like in Eagle Pass right now?
Right now, we have, like a year and a half ago, we had people walking up and down the highway. About a year and a half ago, I guess Biden started putting them on buses. So, the locals, at least one reason I think is the locals would not be so upset, because it was just thousands of people roaming the streets all hours of day and night. But now, every single hour of every night and every day, there's buses that are leaving every 20 to 25 minutes. I'll see at least 2 or 3 bus loads come out of Eagle Pass every hour.
Now, you've got a business there in Eagle Pass. You also take people up in a helicopter, showing senators and members of Congress and others what it's like pouring across Eagle Pass. What when you take up these members of Congress into your helicopter, what are they saying to you? Are they stunned, or they know that this is happening?
I got to know that they got to know basically it's happening, but maybe some of the details not. It's a different perspective than on the ground. But some of them are really concerned, and sheriffs in surrounding counties, concerned, like Uvalde or Del Rio, but as well as surrounding counties and sheriffs and congressmen up around Houston, where a lot of them are ending up. But some of them don't seem as concerned, like it's not a crime or it's not against the law, so there's nothing we could do about it.
Your business, how has your business been affected?
Definitely, we try to get in 2 or 3 18-wheelers a day, like clockwork, for 20 years, and now we can't. All last week, we couldn't get a load across. I finally got 2 or 3 loads across yesterday, but it takes, instead of 3 hours to cross, it takes 3 days to cross.
How would you describe what's been happening in Eagle Pass over the past few months?
Man, it's just a big money-making machine. I mean, I went to the processing center, and I guess you call it an NGO. I'm not sure. Somebody's getting a big contract, and they hire a bunch of kids that are just like out of high school that are processing these immigrants after they get handed to the camp by National Guard, and CBP and the helicopter will point them out if they're over here, groups over here, and they'll go pick them up. And that's what's been happening every single day, every day for the last few months. Actually, I think for the last year and a half.
What about when you walk down the streets of Eagle Pass? What are you seeing on the streets now?
2 years ago, before they really put them on planes and buses, they were all over the roads. I mean, you could leave Eagle Pass and almost hit out in the middle of the darkness coming this way, groups of 5 or 10. And occasionally in the small town of Batesville or La Pryor coming out of Eagle Pass, you would see a group of 5 or 6 being detained, set down, handcuffed, but then they're just being sent back to the buses to get on the way even further into the U.S.
Where are these buses going, David?
I thought about following one, but I know they're going at least as far as San Antonio. I suspect they're going to Dallas and San Antonio, but because a lot of the people that on one bus would tell me they're going to New York, or they're going to Georgia, or they're going to Oklahoma, or they're going to Dallas, or they're going to San Antonio. So they all got to be going at least as far as a common point of San Antonio.
But going into the United States. Yeah.
But absolutely. Everybody's going to a different state, mostly Florida. I mean, last week and this week, definitely last week, most people say they were going to Florida.
Wonder what Governor DeSantis thinks about that.
Yeah, I said he's going to have his hands full, and
Yeah.
But yes, everywhere. They're going everywhere. Everywhere.
All right. Thank you so much, David, for joining us today from Texas. We appreciate you just giving us some idea what it's like in Eagle Pass. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And I'm curious from our audience tonight, let us know, like, are you seeing a surge in illegal immigration in your area? I mean, we're seeing it in New York. We're seeing it in, we're seeing it in hotels in New York. We're seeing it all over the country. We're seeing it in California. We're seeing it in Denver, Colorado, particularly Chicago, Oklahoma City. So let us know, are you seeing a surge in this where you live? And let us know in the comments. Are you seeing it in Europe? I mean, how many of you are watching us from Europe right now? I just saw someone said hello from Norway. Scandinavian countries are being hit with this as well. Until these governments realize they've got to, someone's got to stand up and be brave about this, even though this is part of this plan. This replacement migration plan.
It feels anti-human. It feels like we're not even humans looking at other humans.
And like someone said, what about the children? Like, what about all the children? Yeah, today, in fact, Michael Yon sent me a text today. He said, this is one of the children that's going to wind up in, Carlos sent me a text earlier today saying this is one of the children that's going to end up at one of these detention centers. It'll be probably sold off at that Walmart facility and sold off to somebody for God knows what. They found I think they found a 5-month-old just laying there on the border, laying there like by barbed wire. And they just that's what they're dealing with. A 5-month-old just like laying there. It's unbelievable to me. And no one was around. This is what it's really unbelievable. So thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.